We're talking about Venezuela once again. To make important banks, they removed the 1,000 All right, we are live for a Thursday edition of the RT News Update Aftermarket Check-In, and I wanted to just refreshen your memory a little bit and remind those that may not be aware of the fact that during market contagion events, during debt implosion, and things of that nature, the problems that people tend to face with actually being able to fully execute promises to pay, contracts, and all types of other things comes under a lot of pressure. And on top of that, all contracts and agreements typically have a lot of issues being able to actually be fulfilled. Therefore, people find out that what they thought was theirs may not end up being the case if it's not even there or if it never really even existed. And what I'm referring to, more importantly, is the currency that is in the current markets and in the banks and all these other products and things that they've created out there over the last umpteen decades. You know, when recessions, borderline depressions happen, there's often runs on banks, as well as what we've been introduced to over the last, 10 plus years is the concept of bailouts. But not many people are really considering what happened and what was the primary setup after the great financial crisis rather, which happens to be with the bail-in. So today, talking about bank runs and bail-ins and banking crises and how a lot of people may not be taking it too seriously, even though people who are plugged in, but this message may not necessarily be for you, but it's for your family and friends that may not have any clue as to what's really going on. So we're going to dive into that long-winded introduction, but wanted people to take this serious. And I put out a video earlier today just shining light on what has already happened and what we can learn from it. And due to the algorithms and things of that nature, not getting much traction, but I thought I would further shine light on that and dive a little bit deeper and just letting you know what has already happened, more than likely will happen again in some capacity, and to hopefully help people be prepared for it and aware of it. So anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to this aftermarket wrap up. Actually didn't even have a chance to even check into the markets. Don't even know what's happening out there because overall it's irrelevant, because I think, looking long-term is a much more suitable approach, just because a lot of people will be blindsided by the realization that, if you don't hold it, if you can't get to it, you're going to find out you may not own it. We've had more than enough examples in the last couple of weeks to really shine light on it, and then there's more unfolding right now. So we're going to touch on that. But before I do that, I want to welcome first-time viewers. So feel free to let me know if we got anybody out there might be coming across the channel for the first time. Definitely would love to have you check in with us. And I want to also give you some updates as to what I'm trying to work on my end here, just to get more bang out of this whole experience here, and to further allow the work that I put in behind the screen here to reach more people. And so I'm just going to try to, continue to grow and expand the channel, but also narrow it down towards more of the people who, really, resonate and vibrate with me. So anyway, click the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell notification if you want to be notified. And if you don't mind, hit that thumbs up button showing your support for the channel. And also social media tabs. I'd encourage you to connect with us here so as you can stay plugged in to RTD moving forward. But let's jump right in. So I put out a video, one of my micro dose of insight. The goal is to make them quick, short, to the point, give you something to chew on, and let you move about your day. And the video I did earlier was very interesting. So I thought I would share with you the written side of things. And let me actually pull up on my screen here. I got too many windows open. Then I'll jump into it. But before I do that, let me just share the word of the day, if I might add, so people can realize that we'll always start off with some good news. So here's just a piece of scripture I put out in reference to Revelations 1:3. And, this whole beginning of Revelations chapter 1 is very detailed into some things that we need to make sure we pay attention to. And so I thought I would just start off with this because the book of Revelations to me is the best book, because it gives us precise and detailed information as to how things unfolds in the end times. And definitely the end times atmosphere it's been here, and it's here currently like we've never imagined in my adulthood years. But anyway, it says, blessed is he who reads and those who hears the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written in it, for the time is near. And I just wanted to highlight the part about blessed. The person who heeds these words, and he's about to move forward into some more interesting stuff here, those people will be blessed. And by going looking for certain information relevant to your spiritual growth, as well as to what God wants you to know, I think he'll reward you for that, i.e. the blessing, and give you more insight. He don't give to those who don't seek. So if you're seeking for it, he'll give it to you. And as the time draws near, we're told to do some certain things. And I think this is very relevant to that. But I said, don't be caught blindsided or unprepared for the Lord's return. Our concept of time is a lot different than his. Be about your Father's business while there's still time. Rise and grind for the King. All right. So that's just the Thursday good news of the day. All right. So into more practical, real world issues that we face. Education is key. Having knowledge and insight will go a long ways to help you navigate these waters that we're in. And so I put out a video earlier, as I mentioned, and this happens to be, and I'm going to put it on the screen here. So it's about the Eurozone debt crisis 2.0. And so I'd encourage you guys to either read this or listen to it. But as you guys can see here on the screen, the Eurozone, I think, is the best example of what we can see unfolding in real time, where we have a currency that is not the focal point of all global trade. The euro is important, but it's not the focal point. So they have less wiggle room for error in the Eurozone when it comes to their debt crises, because they have a large basket of countries with problems that can't be solved. And so with their monetary easing, it's going to put more pressure on their currency, and therefore the currency there is what they're going to use to try to solve the problems, all along not even addressing the underlying problem, which is the currency, which is the debt. It's the problem, and it has to go kapoof. But along the way, it's going to take a lot of people down with it. And then that's where we get into the bank runs and bail-ins. And so a lot of people have not put enough attention on how bank crises unfold, why they happen, and how they end up hurting the depositors, because they are the ones that take the blunt of the blow. And the rules have been rewritten since the great financial crises. And in this article here, I shine light on how the shareholders, which were rearranged to accommodate the funds that were depositors' funds, being allocated to the businesses as well as the banks first, and then the citizens, i.e. depositors, got shafted. And the Dodd-Frank here in the U.S. puts us in the same situation where the FDIC will be the ones that do the bank resolutions as they divvy out whatever's happening. But before I get into that, in this article here, I just basically talked about it. Started off real quick, talk about how Mario Draghi and Christine Lagarde are the two puppets that are running the EU show. It's one in particular with Italy, because Italy is going to be a primary problem, in Spain and Greece. And so the debt crises that took place in 2011, 10, 12, 13, and ended up being more than just a sovereign debt crisis. The actual crises end up being on the commercial level within the banks, the commercial banks, and the government sovereignty issue is something that they can always continue to paper over, because they can just issue more debt. But then on the commercial level, retail level, when it comes to our banks, the banking industry, depositors are usually on the hook for the liquidity needed within the commercial banks. And so in Cyprus is the best example of what happened in 2013, when the banks, the Laika Bank in particular, basically was loaded with the government bonds and all those things products they've created. And as the whole debt debacle unraveled, they had to bail in the depositors in Cyprus. And that was an isolated event. It happened just one time on a small little island. but yet the whole world heard about it, but not many people really realize that if it happened to them, it can happen anywhere else on this planet. And so within this article, I just talked about how ultimately it starts with the fact that in the EU in particular, there's something called NPLs or non-performing loans. And so non-performing loans are ultimately all the instruments created by the commercial banks. And when interest rates rise, it makes those smaller debts hard to pay. And commercial banks run into problems and they can't issue debt and create currency just for no reason. And so the non-performing loans leads to bankruptcies, insolvencies, then the banks go belly up. And it's happening right now as we speak in Europe. And it's not really been talked about whatsoever. And because it was never solved from the last crises. So what is happening in Europe is at the sovereign level, bond yields are spiking, causing the governments to be distressed. But then beneath that, within each one of those countries that are distressed, the commercial banks are also having issues. And so we're about to witness some unraveling of like we've never imagined before, but it's something we can learn from because if it happened once in Cyprus in 2013, it can definitely happen again. And it's my suspicion, and I put it in this article here, that it's going to happen on a more regional level to where country here, and then all of a sudden it might happen all at once, or there might be some other systemic event. But all along, people will be looking to try to get cash, therefore creating bank runs because when things go crazy, more people begin waking up, and then at that point, they try to go down and do what they got to do, but it's usually too late. And so, long-winded answer there, but I'd encourage you, if you guys want to find out more details to this, you can either read this or just listen to the video I put out earlier. But yeah, it took me a while to put that together, man, just because I want people to understand. But reason I brought all this up is there is a interesting story. I'll put it right here. So this is a bank run that's taking place in China, and we're being told about it now. But as you guys see, it's some epic times. It says bank runs happening across China. And so bail-ins was a concept introduced almost 9 years ago, but bank runs has been going on ever since, fiat currency existed. I got a list of banks I'm going to point to you just so you can know that it is possible. And then some people might say, well, I got FDIC and SPIF, depositors insurance. There's a lot more currency been created in the last 2 years that have been deposited into these banks than there has been funds put in the FDIC and the SPIC credit union insurance company than was created. So, but anyway, real quick, I'm gonna run through this and give you some ideas and share my 2 cents at the very end. It says bank runs happening across China. People complain hard to obtain cash. And so one of the reasons amongst many is that, as I always love to show, let me see if I can find my visual aids here, make it easier if I can. Let me see if I got it up here. I don't have it, so I got to go find it. Forgive me. But primary reason it's hard to obtain cash is because most of the currency and creation is digital in nature. Therefore, there's nowhere near enough cash to actually counter the demand when needed. The demand cash is not there. And so here we got, after nearly 1 million Chinese people were unable to access their bank deposits in China province earlier this year, residents in East China, Shanghai, south of Shenzhen, reported the difficulties they are facing when trying to withdraw cash from their bank accounts. Some banks will only serve a limited number of customers per day. Some bank limits each client's withdrawal to more than 1,000 yuan or $149. Bank runs have been happening in the world's second largest economy for over a week. So bank runs are happening right now in, as it says here, the second largest economy for over the last week. And it says the reason why the bank run isn't happening, the reason why the bank run issue hasn't been solved in this is that China economic system is in crisis and the Chinese regime doesn't have the ability to solve it. And this is a Western narrative about what's happening in Asia. Take of it what you may, but even so, put yourself in their shoes. You want to go down and get what you think is yours. But then again, to be quite frank and honest with you, I can compare this to the crypto space. It's not your currency, therefore it's not your cash. And the reason I say that is because Once you understand the essence of what currency is, our fiat currency, it's a debt instrument and it's obligations between a private institution, they'll call a central bank, and the Treasury or the U.S. government. They made a contract, and in between that comes a currency which they divvy out to the people. We work, we get taxed on it, and we pay taxes, everything else. That's how interest is paid back to the issuer of that same currency. So all in all, it's already Ponzi in nature. But then again, it's not ours. It doesn't belong to us. We work for it, we save it, we use it, but our name isn't on it. It's not our actual property because it didn't come from us originally, and it's always going to be, basically at some point spent out of our possession. We hold it over whatever life term we need it for. We no longer earn interest on it because as of now, you automatically lose because the rate of inflation and the deposit rates is already subpar, it's negative. So all in all, it's not your actual property. And so more people are now waking up to the realization that A, it doesn't retain its value. You have no purchasing power left in it. And by parking it in the bank, you are, technically speaking, an unsecured creditor to where you're lending money to a company that you're having faith that they'll be able to deliver it back to you. And as it says here, over 1 million Chinese individuals are realizing that that confidence or that trust model is broken, especially when there's more digital representations in existence than there are physical claims in the form of paper. And so they're having a cash crunch in this area here because there's not enough paper units. And this is deliberate, might I add, because where are they trying to take us? They're trying to take us digital. So all these cash issues of not enough cash, dirty cash, even here in the US, going to tellers, they're saying no cash accepted due to coin shortages, yada, yada, whatever. It's all intentional, but it's happening right now in China from what we're seeing. So what would make you think it's not coming to a city and town near you? Just be aware of it. Bank runs are happening. And to counter that, depending on what side of the world, like EU could be having a bail-in situation soon enough. China's having bank runs. What about the United States of America is the question I want to put out there. And so to more of this, here's an interesting article here. Let me put this on the screen here as you guys can see it. Make sure you guys can see it. I had to go back and do the archive on this one. But it says, first Fintech to receive a national bank charter now facing a cash crunch. And so this is, as of today, Varo, if I'm saying that correctly, says a year ago, digital banks were riding high when the stimulus was flowing, attracting billions of dollars in venture capital and spending aggressively on marketing to bring in new customers. Today, fintechs trade for a fraction of what they were selling at just a year ago. Inflation is spiking and a recession has already been here. Venture capitalists are turning off the money spigot as well as the central bank, and the industry is reeling. Varo is the latest fintech to run into financial trouble. So this Varo is an online fintech company, meaning that it's like a PayPal or something like that. I'm not familiar with them, but it says since raising $510 million at $2.5 billion valuation, it has been burning through money quickly, losing $84 million last quarter alone. The bank has less than $263 million of that $510 million left. And so their liabilities and their assets don't line up. So I'm not sure how many customers they got. They got 298 full-time employees, of which they're going to be doing some massive layoffs. They haven't already. And in the meantime, there could be a couple million people holding an account at a fintech company, which is all digital. They have maybe a headquarters somewhere, but other than that, it's just an app on your phone. And they got a debit card to go with it. And that's all there is to this form of banking. And they're having a cash crunch, meaning something is going to give. And who do you think is going to get shafted? I'll leave it at that. Keep it moving. We can learn a lot as well from the recent crypto debacle with Celsius. And so here's another article, came out a week ago, but very timely in alignment with, meltdowns. And I wanted to make sure I highlight this word here, bank runs. So it said the Celsius meltdown is an old-fashioned bank run, except there's no bank. So this is one of the cons in living in a predominantly digital world where it's all done via app, very minimum contact with human people or even ability to call somebody and complain. You got to file a ticket online, and you might get a call back for the majority. But then, because it's all digital in nature, if it never had any real physical representation, even in paper form, like paper is going out the door, but still, at least you got something you can hold. Put yourself, if it's all digital on a ledger, you can see it, you can't see it, whatever, and you give your keys up to somebody else, you run the risk of being subject to whatever happens to that company. At the same time, the financial markets is trembling. Right, any minute now is, with tremors every day until something gives. Then you got the global macro picture where nations are having issues. It just makes for a very unsteady and uncertain time all around. And that's why I think it was good to bring to you these articles talking about, this is a this is a cryptocurrency company. We got a Fintech company probably in Silicon Valley. We got China with the banking crises. We have, what else I got? I got the bail-in situation from the EU. So these are all events that are happening right now in real time. And most people are oblivious to this. They have no clue as to what's happening. So just to bring it to your attention, and this is what I hope you guys would do. For those that are tuning in, take this video, grab these articles, share it so people can find out what's going on. Let them question the information, but then go do their own research. So they'll at least say, hey, I did hear something about that one time. So that's the best way we can do it. Education is key. Let everybody have a chance to find out for themselves, do their own homework, and go from there. And to my point about what's happening in the U.S., this is the last article, but it caught my attention because I'm thinking, like, to me, it's so obvious how everything is deliberate. They're deliberately destabilizing so they can destroy the current monetary structure. It couldn't be more clear to me, as well as you guys, I'm sure, but just the people who are asleep that need to hear this. And so it says federal aid that was given for this prior health experience over the last 2 years to states and localities cost $855,000 per one job saved. So that means the U.S. government over liquefied states, and it was intentional to help cover up the pension crisis, but they injected way more than it was actually accounted for the individuals that were employed or unemployed, because the whole goal was to provide, unemployment and stimulus and PPP and all that other stuff. They injected way more. So imagine people who got some type of aid didn't get $855,000 worth of aid, I'm sure, because the couple thousand went to people. The remaining balance of that, which could have been, say, 800,000 or however much was given to people, whoever, went to the banks in the form of those lending windows and the reverse repo operations and the government and all those corporate bond purchases and stuff like that. So just think about that. This is pretty serious stuff here. But anyway, it just says here, a massive federal bailout of state and local government during the pandemic had a negligible effect on overall employment levels, despite costing taxpayers an estimated $855,000 per job. It says, despite the eye-watering price tag, however, the stimulus spending only a modest impact on the government's employment, has not translated into detectable gains for the private business or state's overall economic conditions. So, having spent all our money, there's been no proof whatsoever that it was even helpful to even do what it was sent out to do. But where did it go? That's what we got to wonder. Where did it go? So when you have a government hard pressed on continue to spend when there's nothing there other than just digits on a screen, and as of now, confidence that because it still spends, it lets me know that they can continue to throw out billions. Just today announced Ukraine, they're going to send more military aid, billions. And it's like, man, like once all those billions hit the streets and all that stuff comes home to roost, what do you think is going to happen here? Either a bail-in or a bank run, in my opinion. But it's more so like, which one are you able to avoid first? And so this is just what's happening, man. But it's undeniable how things are really beginning to unravel. And, I just think more people should be talking about issues like this. Talk about things that matters to your current pockets, as well as the things you put into banks and institutions. Because when all hell breaks loose, when there's complete pandemonium, nothing really makes sense whatsoever at that moment, and all hell breaks loose. Stuff hits the fan. You know what time it is. Don't expect to be receiving contracts and obligations and all those things that you think you're yours. It's gonna be another thing, man. Another thing coming. But anyway, want to check in real quick and share with you 4 or 5 articles. Hope they were of value to you. Hit that thumbs up button. And the most important thing is take this video and share it. And then before I leave, I want to, as I mentioned, coming in for all those that are here, I mentioned about looking to diversify, myself away from YouTube, just because it's my suspicion and my gut feeling that when the economic calamity fully hits here, which in that window, I'll say, I don't know, this is not prophetic in nature, but I'm just saying, based upon history, whenever there's an agenda, they want to control the narrative. And as the narrative is given to us of whoever to point the blame to, anybody who contradicts that, you're censored, you're flagged, your videos get strikes, your videos get taken down, or your channel get canceled. I'm about to get more real on my side. So I know if I do a good job, this channel will be canceled. So I got to get ahead of the curve. So with that being the case, I'm already on all types of platforms, but I'm working with one in particular, and it's called rtd.locals.com. And so starting in July, my live streams in the evening will be on there so that I can just have some uncensored real talk, not worried about ads and anything like that. And so it's going to be a community supported effort. So for those who are interested in trying to get down to the nitty gritty, because I'm also going to look to interview people in different sectors and have some real talk outside of what I have to hold my tongue most of the time because, with this platform, I got to be careful. But on the other side of things, I'm going to look to unwind a little bit, as well as the whole goal is to try to, get some funding so that I can get some help so I can do more content. So I got a lot of things planned, and definitely, but it's a community effort because I can't do it without your support. And so definitely looking forward to doing that. So if you guys are interested, I encourage you to sign up now. And starting in July, we're going to be full swing ahead. And I'll put it on the screen here so you guys can see it. Let me see, grab it real quick on the screen, put it on the screen. So here is the page. Here is the page here. And so beneath this video right here, you can go to rtd.locals.com and join there, become a member. And there's options for you to be a supporter as well. But I'm going to start streaming in there. And eventually, I would like to be at some point in the near future, off of YouTube altogether and, solely focusing on just building content that I have more of a say so on this particular platform here. And, so looking forward to it. But anyway, click the link, go sign up right now, become a member. And and that's another thing is I'll be able to actually notify people. I can notify people when I'm going live. So I'll be able to contact people and everybody will get notified. That's the good part about it because, community is growing over here, but nobody gets notified. So it becomes kind of tedious after a while. But anyway, look forward to seeing you guys tonight, 9:30. And let's come back. So anyway, take this video, share it, thumbs up. See you guys later. Shalom.
The next recession.
Recession will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months.
A crash is coming. Now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
If you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.